Take my love and I'm willing. There's no limit to the love I'm giving. The love I'm giving. I'm gonna give you guys a condensed version. We've come too far to let it all in. I told you over and over again how I feel inside, but if you go, oh baby, there's something you should know. Something you should know. It's something you should know. There's something in my heart, something in my heart, something in, ooh, it's got me hooked on you. Y'all, that used to be my jam. Let me tell you something. I know y'all tired about hearing about this damn Jeep Wrangler, but back in the 90s, you guys, I had my Jeep Wrangler. I put that fucking boombox in the back, and that shit used to bump. When I would turn on 8th Avenue and 48th, I'd turn that shit up louder, and it was always something in my heart. That song has the hardest bass line, and that's all the fuck you cared about back in the day, is how, you know, how booming your bass line was. That thing would be like, boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, boom-ba-da-boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, doom, ba-doom, doom, ka-doom, ka-doom, diddle-da-doom, da-doom, ka-doom, ka-doom. That shit used to be jamming. Woo! I think that was a good old time back in the days. Y'all, let me get to this fucking review. What's up, Roxstars? It's Rox, and I am coming to you today with my reaction to the Michel'le movie that aired on Lifetime Saturday, Surviving Compton, Dr. Dre, Suge, and Michel'le. Did you guys watch it? I know most of you guys did because we were all on Twitter talking about it. And so this is going to be one of them reviews where I'm just right off the top of the head, y'all. I didn't write nothing down. I just wanted to just come on and talk about it. And I'm glad I gave myself a couple of days because right after the movie went off, I felt some kind of way. You know, me being a Capricorn, I definitely have a pessimistic, cynical side. And sometimes that takes over. So I needed the day or two to kind of really sit back and think about the movie and think about the perspectives, and then, you know, that way I can give it to you guys unbiased. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today. Now, first of all, when we think about this movie, Surviving Compton, you cannot help but compare it to Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton was Dr. Dre's and Ice Cube's story. Actually, it wasn't their story, it was NWA's story, but it was from their perspective. They were the ones who produced the movie, you know, and was in charge of getting the writers and the direction of the movie, the directors and all of that. So definitely it is from their perspective. When we talk about Michel'le's movie, this is from her perspective, or should I say the producers and the writers and so forth and so on. Now, it's not a big budget movie for sure, which means that millions of dollars wasn't invested in this movie to make sure that, you know, we kept everything historically correct and, you know, made sure that the costuming was, you know, historically correct, and, you know, made sure that music in the background wasn't historically correct and all of. So you got Straight Outta Compton, which, you know, there was a lot of money that was put in to make sure that this movie was a blockbuster hit, which it was. So now we talk about Surviving Compton, which is on Lifetime, which by all accounts, Lifetime has been in charge of some biopics, I can never say the word right, that they have fucked up. We all think about the Aaliyah movie, which was probably the worst that I've seen Lifetime do. Most of it because they weren't able to get a lot of clearance on that movie. And sometimes when you can't get clearance on music and shit, you just need to scrap it when you're talking about a musical artist, right? So this movie, Surviving Compton,
definitely was not as bad as Aaliyah. I don't know any movie on Lifetime that has been as bad as the Aaliyah movie. So I think that has put a bad taste in our mouth. But I don't know if it's really fair to compare Surviving Compton to Straight Outta Compton. Okay, so that's the first mindset that I had to put myself in. These are two totally different engines that's happening here. Okay. Secondly, like I said, Dr. Dre's story, he told of himself in Straight Outta Compton. He made himself look like, not necessarily just this glowing, personality. However, he did not introduce any of the negatives of himself into the movie. And people picked up on it when the movie was out originally. And I thought to myself, yeah, he left a lot of that shit out. But, if we were talking about just NWA and their rise to fame, then the beatings parts, there's a whole bunch more to all of their lives that they left out. Now we got Michel'le's perspective. Her whole relationship with Dr. Dre and Suge Knight had a lot of abuse, physical and mental and emotional. So, she's given this is her story now. And we can't be mad at the fact that her story differs so much from Dr. Dre's story, okay? Because, like I said, he has his narrative, she has hers. But when you watch the movie, you can't help but wish that Lifetime would take more liberties in being just historically correct on just the simplest of things. These are the things that lend credibility to a story. When you can look at some people in the movie and not know who the fuck they are. I was looking at NWA and I was just like, who are these niggas? It's just a whole bunch of people. They just was like, here, put this Raider hat on, put this Compton hat on, put on all black, put you some Lokes on. Ice Cube, I didn't know who was who. Those little things mean something when you watch a movie like this, when everybody is so recognizable. Like, we know who NWA is and we know who each person is. So, like, it bothered me that they didn't take, just little things that they should have just kind of kept in mind. They had Rihanna playing in the background of the scene when she's in the tub and when Eazy-E calls her. Rihanna! This is back in the 90s, you guys. And that immediately I heard that and I was just like, what the fuck? But there was a whole bunch of those little things where the timelines just wasn't, it just wasn't matching, and it was easy enough to me that Lifetime should have been able to notice that. It was almost as if Michel'le had told the producers and the directors and the writers, just kind of told them her story loosely, just sat down at the table one day and just told them. They took notes, and then she went on and let them do whatever the fuck they wanted to do, because a lot of it didn't even make sense when you watch the after show, when they have the whatever that show is, behind the streets or whatever it was called. Even that conflicted with what was the the actual movie. And a lot of times that after movie that Lifetime has is the documentary is much better than the actual movie, because then you feel like you got some accuracies. Okay, but it was, like I said, it was little things. Even in the after thing, she said that she met Alonzo at his house, and then in the damn movie she said that she met him at May Company. Those kind of things get on my nerves with Lifetime, but still, obviously what they wanted to get across was the fact that Dr. Dre was an abuser. And 100% I believe it. I believe that he was an abuser, and he was of the worst kind. Okay, just terrible. I don't know Michel'le. She doesn't know me from a can of paint. However, I've told you guys before in the past that Michel'le and I went to the same hairstylist for years in Los Angeles, and I would be at the hair salon the same time that she would be there, and I will admit that there have been some times, not a whole bunch of times, but enough times for me to see her come to the shop and her face was fucked up. She was beat up, and it was general knowledge back then that Dr. Dre was the one that was doing it. So for sure, it wasn't a big secret that he was whooping her ass. It was a different time back then. We didn't have social media. People couldn't get the news out. I mean, it was just kind of general knowledge amongst us that was there, and anybody that was around her at the time, that he was beating her ass. Okay, today it would be something totally different for Dr. Dre. Well, not really totally different, because they have come today. You could say the chicken has come home to roost, right? Dr. Dre is catching hell for this movie. And a lot of times, things that's done in the dark, this is proof right here that eventually it comes to light, and you got to pay for the shit that you have done. So, as far as that part is concerned, social media still has, a big hand in Dr. Dre's abusive relationship with Michel'le and a lot of other women as well. But back then, obviously she was not reporting it. Many of the women did not report the abuse by the hands of Dr. Dre, with the exception of Dee Barnes, who we all know he beat the hell out of in front of a whole bunch of people, and she sued him. But other than that, you didn't hear many stories about it. It was just like folklore, like I said. But now we got the movie. She's saying that he beat her ass. Like I said, I believe all of the stories. But I also think, and this is not victim blaming, so let me just say that right off the top, because no man should ever put their hands on a woman, no matter how ratchet they are. That being said, Michel'le was quite ratchet. When I would see her in the salon, God, I don't even know if I should say this because it feels like I'm blaming her, and I'm not. But I'm just trying to give you a bigger picture of what Michel'le was, because in the movie, I feel like they really tried to sweeten her up and wasn't really adequate in saying how she was. That would have probably explained more why she was even around this element to begin with. Okay, Michel'le was ratchet. She was not scared of no bitches. Okay, she was fighting. This is where she came from. And from the beginning of the movie, when they show her mother and her grandmother telling her that this is what a man, does, they just beat her ass. Okay, I'm sure that she's heard that plenty of times in her lifetime with her parents. I mean, her mother and her grandmother. And so this is what she was used to. So, she would be fighting motherfuckers and bitches' asses. And she wasn't really scared. I think that she was really in this dysfunction of believing that this was normal. So, like you saw in the movie, it took a long time for her to get away from it. With Dr. Dre, then she turned around and got with Suge. And in between there, this is also a folklore in Los Angeles. Michel'le mixed, she got together with a lot of those rappers in that same circle. Okay, Death Row, Ruthless Records, NWA, all of them. Okay, so she was kind of fucking around with a lot of people. And so she has a lot of bad blood with all of them guys. So that kind of made me feel like they didn't really respect Michel'le to begin with. Okay, while she was making money for them and singing these hooks and all that, she was cool enough to have around. But they didn't respect her, and I don't think Dr. Dre ever had any intentions of marrying her. Well, he got her pregnant like he's got all these other women pregnant with all these other kids. And, he's just kind of dealing with it at the moment. But, their relationship was a whole lot, like a whole lot. And then for her to turn around and get with Suge Knight, I kind of felt like in the movie they made Suge Knight be way more sincere and softer than the pictures that we've always had of Suge Knight in the past, because they had to explain why she thought it was okay to get with Suge Knight after she had been with Dr. Dre, and there was so much animosity between the two of them, Dr. Dre and Suge, when that whole Death Row, all that shit was falling apart. So they had to get us to be like, oh, well, that's why, because Dr. Dre was so horrible to her. Suge Knight, came in knight in shining armor kind of thing. All that being said, you guys, Michel'le put up with a whole bunch of shit, obviously, and Dr. Dre definitely beat her ass. And like I said, today she is getting some. She's getting some. What is the word? She's getting some. She's getting some justice, I should say, by the hands of social media and everybody else who saw the movie and was just like, wow, that motherfucker. But you guys can think back and think about Dr. Dre over the years. He's never seemed to be one more than an asshole. He's put out a lot of good music and is responsible for the success of a lot of rappers that we enjoy hearing today. But Dr. Dre himself, the person, has always kind of had a reputation of being an asshole. I don't know if it was that big of a shock, but see, Dr. Dre has kept himself very, very low key, almost to a recluse, point, where, you know, he kind of has become something, a mythical legend, and we don't know much about his story anymore, you know, except for those of us who was around back during NWA's heyday and Death Row's heyday, and, you know, at the beginning of Aftermath, because around the beginning of Aftermath, I think that was when he kind of started to change, and, you know, he got married, and he started to be a family man, or, you know, that was the image that they put forth in front of us anyway. But, yeah, I just, you know, the movie was whatever. I didn't enjoy it to death, and I didn't hate it. Just like Dr. Dre and Ice Cube had the right to tell their story, I believe Michel'le had the right to tell her story. I also believe that if Dr. Dre wasn't so adamant in writing her completely out of their story, you know, straight out of Compton, then maybe she would not have, you know, gone here. But obviously they was really trying to make sure that this movie was about abuse and not about her career and how she started and, you know, what she went through to get her albums out. Her album, I should say, has only been one. Well, was there another one? That, you know, or she's got one coming or something. We would have liked to have seen more about that, but you know, it became clear after an hour into the movie that this movie was all about her physical abuse from, you know, the men in her life at that time. So that's pretty much it. What can you say at this time? You know, I'm wondering if Dr. Dre is going to try to sue her. She seems very confident that he won't do that and that those were empty threats. I think that he needs to just leave it alone and hope that this dies out like everything else, because people knew that he did it. And why open this can of worms even bigger than it needs to? What I think she would like to get from him is an apology. Not this blanket apology that he gave, you know, to all the women that he has hurt in the past. But she would like for him to specifically address what he's done to her and apologize. Well, I don't see him doing that because it's got legal ramifications to it. I mean, unless he just does it on the phone with her real quiet, like one day when he calls her and hope that she ain't recording shit. You know, if he admits that, then that opens the grounds for maybe him being able to sue. I don't know if there's statute of limitations for physical abuse when somebody admits that they did do it. I don't know if she would be able to sue, or if this would bring other people out of the woodwork to come and say, yeah, he whipped my ass too. Because you best believe there's more women around that has gone through it with Dr. Dre. Maybe one time and maybe a whole bunch of times. So she would like this apology. I mean, their kid is old now. What did they say? He's 25 years old now. They have no reason to be in each other's life any longer. But I don't think that it will happen. So to me, we just need to kind of just hope that this dies down. I know it is a nightmare for Apple and Beats by Dre, the company. And yeah, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I just kind of feel like we need to, because we as in social media and Twitter and all that, we have very short attention spans. So what ends up happening is everybody rides this until the next big thing, okay, and then they leave us alone and they go on. You know, we ain't gonna forget, but you know, it won't be that big of a story any longer. People will continue to buy their Beats by Dre that everybody said that they was breaking on Saturday. I was like, what the fuck you breaking it for? The shit is gonna break on its own anyway. I have had 3 pair of the put in your ear headphones. All of them have broke. My son has had 4 over the head Beats by Dre headphones. We have spent so much fucking money on them fucking things. I told y'all, I said we ain't buying no more of that bullshit. Now he wants the wireless ones. The motherfuckers all break, all of them. Okay, they don't last that long. The only ones that we have that have lasted, my husband got the very first ones when they came out years and years and years and years ago, when they were like $600 or something like that. And his still work. But he doesn't even use his as much as like Joe used his every day. And, you know, it was just part of the look, him playing basketball, to have these damn headphones and all that. But the motherfuckers is already cheaply made, if you ask me. Okay. And again, why are you breaking shit anyway? You already spent the money. They already got the money. No, you just don't invest anymore. Okay. Quit breaking your shit that you got. Okay. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I didn't think I was going to talk this long on the movie. All in all, I say good for Michel'le. Obviously, there were people out there who wanted to hear her story and felt that she had a story worth telling. Lifetime definitely is banking on the success of Straight Outta Compton, and, you know, knowing that people are going to flock to this movie and watch it, and that will be more advertising dollars for it and all of that. So, I mean, this is all a financial thing that happened here, but, you know, all in all, Michel'le wanted to get her story out, and she did. And good for her. her. Okay, it's too bad that Dr. Dre has to go through this now that he's, you know, considered a family man, a successful billionaire just about. But I tell you guys all the time that we make decisions and then we have to pay for them, no matter, you know, what. It's true. It's true. Okay, so that's it. I'm trying to hope that I hit all the points that I wanted to. If I didn't, whatever I missed in here, you guys just go on and put it in the comments below. Okay, I'm sure you guys have plenty to say about what was happening in the movie and about what I said. It's all, look, put it down there, sprinkle it like this. Alright, you guys, I gotta go. My husband just called me with some really good news, and hopefully I'll be able to share it with you guys eventually. I'm happy. This is a good Monday, y'all. Let me go get my chicken McNuggets and then take it on back to work. Okay, you guys, make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's Rox. The channel is for It's Rox, and everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. I plan on doing the same. Until next time, Roxstars. Bye.